March 17th, 2023. The formal engagement hall in the Capitol. My betrothed stands before 300 witnesses and tells me he cannot honor our bond. His voice is steady. His hand rests on another woman's shoulder, the daughter of a rival house. She wears white lace and keeps her eyes lowered, modest, calculated. Behind them, the engagement contract sits unsigned on the table. I look at the ring on my hand. My father gave me that ring when I was 16. It weighs nothing now. I walk to the fountain in the center of the hall, drop it into the water. The splash is louder than any argument I could make. I turn, leave. The room stays silent. What they do not see yet is that I remember everything, every betrayal, every manipulation, every choice that led to my ruin in the life I already lived. This is my second chance, and I am not wasting it on a man who chose loyalty to a liar over the woman who stood beside him for 8 years. How did I take a broken engagement and turn it into the foundation of my own sovereign authority? That is the whole case. I was born into a military family. My father commanded the Eastern Border Garrison. My mother managed supply chains that fed 6,000 soldiers. I learned accounting before I learned embroidery. I learned negotiation before I learned to curtsy. When I was 19, my father arranged my betrothal to the son of a strategic ally, a man named Kieran, second son of a trade house, intelligent, honorable, or so I thought. We spent 8 years building a future. I managed his family's textile investments. He handled diplomatic relations. We were a unit. Then the rival house moved. The daughter, Elise, arrived at court with a letter claiming royal favor. False, but convincing. She positioned herself as a saint, charity work, public prayers, a carefully constructed image of purity. She whispered to Kieran that I was cold, ambitious, unworthy of his loyalty. He believed her. In my first life, I fought back. I argued, I pleaded, I tried to prove her lies. It destroyed me. I lost everything. My standing, my father's land, my dignity. I died alone in a rented room with nothing but regret. But death was not the end. I woke up 10 years earlier. Same body, same world, all my memories intact. I knew every mistake, every trap, every weakness in the system that crushed me. So I did one careful thing. I prepared. I liquidated my personal assets quietly, sold my jewelry, converted investments into portable currency. I moved funds into accounts under my mother's family name. No one noticed. I was still the dutiful betrothed, still attending dinners, still smiling at Kieran's side. But I was building an exit. When Elise arrived at court this time, I did not react. I watched. I documented. I let Kieran fall into her trap. I knew he would. The engagement hall scene played out exactly as I remembered. He chose her. I dropped the ring. I walked away. But here's the thing. The land my father gave as dowry was still mine. Legally. The contract was never signed. Kieran's family had no claim. I filed a formal recovery suit the next morning. 3 documents. 1 land deed. 1 unsigned contract. 1 witness statement from the notary who refused to validate the ceremony. The court had no choice. They returned the land. 2,000 acres in the northern hills. Barren, they said. Worthless, they said. They were wrong. I knew what was under that soil. Salt deposits, massive ones. In my first life, a merchant consortium discovered them 5 years later and made a fortune. I had 5 years of future knowledge. I used it. I hired miners, commoners, men who had been dismissed by the noble houses as too rough, too uneducated. They were loyal. They were competent. They were exactly what I needed. We started extraction in month 2. By month 4, we were producing salt at a scale no one had seen in a generation. I undercut every competitor, cornered the market, controlled the supply. Salt is not glamorous, but it is essential. Armies need it. Trade routes depend on it. Within 6 months, I was the largest salt supplier in 3 provinces. Kieran tried to contact me once. A letter. Apologetic, confused. He asked why I had not fought for him. I burned the letter, did not reply. Indifference is the sharpest blade. Now stop right here because what happens next is not about revenge. It is about construction. I took the salt revenue and diversified. I bought a glassworks, introduced techniques I remembered from my first life, modern annealing methods, clearer product, higher value. I sold to the royal court, to foreign buyers, to anyone who wanted quality. The glassworks doubled my revenue in 8 months. I bought a textile mill, hired the best weavers, paid them fairly. They produced better work than any competitor. I bought a shipping company, 4 vessels, small but mine. I controlled my own supply lines. No one could block me. No one could undercut me. I was building an empire. But here's what the capital did not see yet. I was also building a network. I funded 3 orphanages, paid for food, paid for education, gave children a future. Those children became my eyes, my ears, my silent intelligence network. They were invisible to the nobility, perfect for gathering information. I learned about Elise's false charity. The donations she claimed to give never reached the poorhouses. The medicine she claimed to distribute was watered down and resold. I documented it. 3 ledgers, 2 witness statements, 1 shipment record proving she sold medicine meant for the sick. I did not release it yet. Timing matters. Kieran married Elise in the winter, a grand ceremony. The rival house celebrated. They thought they had won. I attended the wedding, wore black, not mourning, a statement. I sat in the back, did not speak, did not react. I watched Kieran's face when he saw me. Confusion, regret. I looked away. Boredom. That hurt him more than anything I could have said. 3 months after the wedding, Elise announced she was pregnant. The capital celebrated. The rival house secured their future. Except, I knew the timeline. I had seen this in my first life. The pregnancy was false. She would fake a miscarriage in month 4 and use it to gain sympathy and political leverage. I waited. Month 3. I released the charity documents. 3 ledgers, 2 witnesses, 1 shipment record. I sent them to the royal auditor, not publicly, quietly, institutional pressure. The auditor opened an investigation. Elisa's house scrambled. They tried to cover it. Too late. The evidence was clear. The rival house lost royal favor. Their trade licenses were suspended. Their access to court was revoked. Elise became a liability. And that is when things got worse for Kieran. Month 4. Elise faked the miscarriage, but I had bribed her physician. He refused to confirm the pregnancy had ever existed. Kieran demanded an independent examination. The royal physician examined her. No signs of pregnancy, no signs of miscarriage. She had lied, publicly, to the court, to her husband, to the kingdom. Kieran was humiliated. His marriage was a sham. His reputation was destroyed. The rival house distanced themselves. He lost his trade connections, his diplomatic standing, his future. He tried to annul the marriage. Elise's family blocked him. They needed him to absorb the scandal. He was trapped. I did not gloat. I did not visit. I did not acknowledge him. I kept building. By the end of year 2, I controlled salt production in 5 provinces. I owned the largest glassworks in the kingdom. I employed 2,000 people. I had trade agreements with 4 foreign nations. The royal court began consulting me on economic policy, not Kieran, me. Nobles who had ignored me now sought my counsel. I became the authority they could not dismiss. I declared my northern territory a free trade zone. Independent governance, my own laws, my own courts. The crown could not refuse. I controlled too much of their revenue. I was too valuable to antagonize. I built my own world. Kieran sent another letter in year 3, longer this time. He admitted his mistake. He said he had been manipulated. He said he missed the partnership we had. He asked if I would consider reconciliation. I read the letter twice. Then I bought his childhood estate, the home where he grew up, where his family had lived for 6 generations. It had been sold to cover debts after his scandal. I paid full price. I converted it into a training facility for my trade network, classrooms, dormitories, a space where commoners could learn skills and build futures. I named it the Equity House. I sent Kieran a deed copy with a note, 3 words, thank you, goodbye. He never contacted me again. Year 4. A minor noble approached me at a royal function. He had been a background figure in my first life, competent but overlooked. In this life, I noticed him. He managed a small estate with precision. He treated his workers with respect. He had integrity. We began working together, trade agreements, joint ventures, mutual respect. By year 5, we were partners. Not romantically, not yet, but the foundation was there. He saw me as an equal, not a prize, not a tool, an equal. That mattered. The capital began referring to my territory as the Northern Authority. Not officially, but the name stuck. I had my own governance, my own economy, my own influence. I was not a duchess, I was something more practical. I was sovereign in function, if not in title. Kieran's life collapsed entirely by year 6. His marriage remained legally binding, but emotionally dead. Elise lived in a separate wing of their estate. He had no children, no heirs, no legacy. His trade house dissolved. His reputation never recovered. He was a cautionary tale. I was a case study. The Royal Academy taught my economic model. The trade guilds studied my supply chain methods. I was invited to speak at councils. I shaped policy. I built systems. I created stability. And I did it all without the man who thought I needed him. The final turn came in year 7. The crown offered me a formal title, Duchess of the Northern Trade Reach. I declined. I did not need their title. I had my own authority. I negotiated instead, a treaty. My territory would remain independent in governance, but allied in trade. The crown would recognize my sovereignty. I would guarantee supply stability. They agreed. I had built my own world. Not through marriage, not through inheritance, through discipline, through memory, through proof and timing and leverage. I walked away from a man who underestimated me. I built an empire from the land he thought was worthless. I turned betrayal into independence. I proved that my self-respect was stronger than his misplaced loyalty. He lost everything: his reputation, his future, his dignity. I built everything: my authority, my network, my world. The most powerful thing in a room like that is not loyalty. It is clarity.